Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Esther Prara. If this is the first time you are joining us, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. You are welcome. And if you're an old subscriber, wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming back to always watch my videos. So in today's video, we are going to be learning how to make a panel skirt. 6 pieces skirt is also known as a 6 pieces skirt. So this method I'm about to show you is a very simple and easy method, and it gives best fit. I promise you, it will give you best fit. So before we go into it, there are some calculations we need to make so that by the time we start drafting, we don't need to be going back and forth. So I would love us to do those calculations first. So the measurements we'll be needing for this tutorial are your waist measurement, your hip measurement, your above knee measurement, and your skirt length measurement. So the calculations that we'll be needing is we need to determine the width, the total width of our 6 pieces. And for you to get the total width of your 6 pieces, you multiply your hip by 3 inches. Your hip times 3 inches. And my hip is 40. So 40 times 3 will give me 120. So the width, the total width of my 6 pieces is going to be 120 inches. So the next measurement we are going to take is to get what is going to be the width of each panel. What is going to be the width? So for you to get the width of each panel is this total width divided by the number of panel. Like since it's a 6 panel skirt, so it's going to be total width divided by 6. If it's an 8 panel skirt you are making, it's going to be total width divided by 8. I hope you get it. So this total width is going to be 120 divided by 6, and that will give us 20 inches. So you see, so each of our panel now, the width of each of our panel is going to be 20 inches. Please take note. So the next thing we want to get is to divide each of our measurements, our waist, our hip, our above knee. Before we start drafting, let's get the measurements we are going to use. And what you are going to do is to divide all these measurements by 6 inches, which is the number of panel. So our waist measurement we are working with is 31. So we'll do 31 divided by 6, and that will give us 5.1 inch. Then we'll do our hip. Our hip is 40. 40 divided by 6 will give us 6 inches. Will give us 6.8 inches. Then our above knee. Your above knee, what you get, how you will get your above knee is your hip divided by your hip minus, you can minus 4 if you don't want it too tight. You can minus 4 or minus 6 or minus 8 from your hip to get your above knee measurement, how tight you want that your above knee to be, to give you that shape. So usually I love to use 6 because 6 will not be too tight. I used to minus 6 from my hip. 6 will not be too tight. You can minus 4, but 4 will not give you that petite shape that you would like. Then if you use 8, 8 is usually very beautiful, but it will cause some discomfort for you, and I'm sure most of us don't like discomfort. But if you really want that shape, like you want to use it for photo shoot, you can just minus 8 from your hip. But if you know you're going to wear the dress out, it's better you remove 6 so that you can be comfortable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to minus 6 from my hip measurement. My hip is 40, so if I minus 6 from 40, it's going to give me 34 inches. So that means my above knee is 34 inches. So 34 divided by 6 is going to give me 5.6 inches. It's going to give me 5.6 inches. So you see, these are the measurements we are going to use when we go to our drafting table. So the first thing we want to do is to get our skirt length. Our skirt length that we're working with is 46 inches. So I'm going to mark 46 inches from the top. This is the starting point line. So I'm going to mark 46 inches. So this is 46 inches. I've marked it already. So this is 46 inches. So you see it. The end of our paper is 46 inches. So let's go back to the top. So the first thing we want to do now is to our panel width. Each panel width is 20 inches as we calculated. So what we need on this width of this paper now is 20 inches. We need 20 inches, but I'm just going to use, let me see what I have on my paper. I have 24 inches here. I don't want to cut it, so I'm just going to use the whole paper. So what I will do is to get the midpoint of this, the midpoint of our paper. We'll go to the hem. This is the hem. We'll go to the hem. Please just follow me. This method is very, very simple. So I'll go to the hem. This is the hem. I'm going to divide what I have on this paper into 2 because we need 20 as our panel width. So I'm just going to get the midpoint of this paper. And I'm going to draw a straight line upward. So after marking this midpoint, this midline, after sharing your pattern into 2, the next thing you want to do is to mark this top line is going to be our waistline. So let's mark our waist to hip. My waist to hip is 9 inches. So I'm going to mark 9 inches. 9 inches. And my above knee measurement is 17 inches. So I'm going to mark 17 inches too. 17 inches. So I'm going to draw the line across. So guys, you see, so this top part is our waistline. This place is our waist to hip measurement, and this third one is our waist to above the knee measurement. This above the knee, just get your knee measurement, then minus 2. Just go up from your knee measurement by 2. That will give you your above knee measurement. Then we have the hem. Then this is the hem. You get it? You know, this is a long skirt and my table is not wide enough to, it's not long enough to contain it. That's why I'm shifting the paper. So this is the hem line. So that's done. The next thing we want to do is to mark on the hem. You mark your total panel. No, on the hem, you're going to mark your single panel width. And our single panel width is 20. You know, we calculated it. So you are going to mark 20 on the hem here. So what you do is 20. We want to mark it from this middle, the 20. So I'm going to put my tape here. I'll mark 10 here, 10 here. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put my tape here in the middle of the line that we marked. And I'm going to mark 10 inches. I'm going to mark 10 inches. Then from the center line again, I'm going to mark another 10 inches. So you see, so from here to here is 20 inches. I hope you can see it. From here to here is 20 inches, which is our single panel width. That's done. So the next thing we want to do is to mark our waist measurement. And you know, our waist measurement, when we divided it by the 6th panel, what we got was 5.1. So we are going to put 5.1 here. We're going to put 5.1 here, and we are going to take the measurement from the middle here. So 5.1, that means I'm going to get 2.56 on each side, so that it can give us 5.1, 2.56. So this is 2.56. Okay, so this is 2.56. Everything will give us 5.1. So you see it. I marked 2.56 here, 2.56 here. Altogether, it will give me 5.1. You see it. Come to my hip measurement. I will impute my hip measurement. What we got for my hip measurement is 6.8. So I need to put 6.8 here. So 6.8, I'll divide it by 2 again to give me 3.4. That means I'll put 3.4 here, 3.4 here, so that altogether it will give me 6.8. So let's get it. 3.4. Okay. Then 6.8. See, so that's our hip measurement. So from here to here is 6.8. Then we'll come to above knee. Our above knee that we got from the calculation is 5.6. So we need to put 5.6 on this part. So 5.6, I'm going to divide it by 2 so that I can put half of it here, half of it here. So if I divide it by 2, I'll get 2.8. That means I'm going to put 2.8 on this side, 2.8 on this side. 2.8. Okay. Okay. So this is what we get. Okay. So this is what we get. So now we are going to connect from the waist to the hip, from the hip to the above knee, then from the above knee we connect it to the hem. So let's connect from the waist to the hip. So this is the waist to the hip. We'll connect this part too. Please don't put too much curve. You know we are going to be sewing them together. Okay. So we'll connect from the hip to the above knee. Okay, so that is done. The next thing we'll do is to connect from the above knee. We'll now connect it to the hem. So I'm going to connect it to the hem. See where I'm connecting it from the above knee to the hem. And I'll connect this other side too. So you see, with this we are done with the first panel, and this first panel is going to, that's what we are going to use to cut 5. We're going to use it to cut 5. Only this panel will serve as 5 pieces for us. You see it, so you can see it's very easy. The next thing we'll do is to cut the next panel, which is going to be the center back. This one is, we are going to cut 5 pieces of this. The next one we are going to draft now is for the center back, because we need to give allowance for the zipper allowance and all. So this is the first one, is ready. We are going to cut it out just like this. It's set. So I'll keep this one aside. Then let's work with the center back. Okay, designers, we are moving straight to the back. So this is the top line, which is going to be our waistline. Then this is the hip line. I marked the hip line. This is the above knee line. I've marked the above knee line. And this is the hem line down here. So the first thing I will do now is to mark my panel width. You know our panel width is 20 inches. And for the first panel that we drafted, the first one we drafted, we marked 10 inches here, 10 inches here to get the 20. But since this is center back, and we're going to cut 2 pieces of this, so what we are going to do, we're just going to mark only the 10 on this part. That's half of our panel width. That's what we are going to mark here first. So let's mark it. So on the hem, this is the hem. I'm going to mark 10 inches from the center line that I drew. I drew a center line to share it just like the way we did in the first one. So I'm going to mark 10 inches. So that's the 10 inches. So I'll come to the waistline. This is the waistline. I'll mark my waist. You know, for the first panel that we drafted, we shared the waist into 2 again. After getting what we want to use for the waist, we now shared it into 2. We put half here and put half here. But this time around, we are just going to put only half of it. What we use there on one part, that's just what we are going to use. We are not going to put on this side. Panel, we marked 2.55 here. We'll mark 2.55 here. But for this time around, we are just going to mark only on this part, 2.55. 2.5. Okay, so this is it. So I'm going to mark it here. You see it. So I'm going to come to the hip too. The same thing. We're going to mark half of what we marked for the first panel, and what we got was 3.4. So I'm just going to mark the 3.4 here. I'm not going to mark on this side, so I'm just going to mark 3.4 here. 3.4. Okay, so this is 3.4. So I'll do the same thing again for the above knee. The above knee we used for the first panel was 5.6, and we put 2.8 here, 2.8 here, but this time around we're just going to put only 2.8 here. So you see, so I'm going to connect all these lines together. And I'll connect to the above knee. Then I'll connect to the hemline. So this is the hemline where we mark 10 inches. So I'm going to connect it there now. So I've connected it to the hemline. You can see it now. So what we will do, if we leave this part straight like this, it will not work. If we leave this part straight, it will not work. So what we are going to do, we are going to get what we have here, 10 inches. We'll divide it by 2. On this hem, what we use there is 10 inches. So we'll divide that 10 by 2. It will give us 5. So I'm going to add 5 here. So anything you get here, half of what you get here, that's what you put here. Then you connect it to the above knee. So you connect it to the above knee, like so. Good. So this will not make the center back to be so flat. This will help the center back to lay well. So this is what we have for the center back. So we are going to cut 2. This one we are going to cut times 2. You understand? So this will now complete the 6 pieces. So we are just going to cut it out because we are done. This is the first one we drafted. So this one we are going to cut 5 pieces of this. 5 of this. And then this one we just drafted, we're going to cut 2 pieces, which is going to be the center back. So another thing you can do, if you want a train, if you want the skirt to have a train, you just add paper here, then increase this center back. This is going to be the center back. So you can add a train, but I don't want a train for mine, so we are not going to add a train. But if you want to add a train, it's simple. Just add more paper here and just draw your train. But when you are drawing your train, make sure that it ends here, because this place is going to be joined to the other part. So here cannot be long, but this place can be long. This place can come, this place can still extend, and you bring it back. You understand? If you want a train, just extend this place. If you want a train, extend here, add more paper, extend here, and bring it back. You just curve it back. It must come and align with this one, because this one is going to be joined to the other ones. So you can't make this one long. This place has to align with the remaining 5 that we have cut. But here can be increased. You can increase here to any length to give you your train. So I hope that helps. But me, I don't want a train for mine. So this is how we are just going to cut it out now. We are done. Then another thing, if you want to put back tightening here, if you want back tightening, you can just go in by half, but I don't want to put any back tightening. I want it to just be like this. So let's cut out. So this is what we have. So I'm going to cut 5 pieces of this, and we're going to cut two piece of this one is going to be 2 piece because of the joining at the back. So all together everything is going to be our 6 pieces. So you see, this is what it looks like. So you see it. So let's transfer to fabric.